Hi, I'm Miss Hearn. Let's get started. In this video, as we learn about what it means for two vertices to be adjacent, we're actually learning about the exact mathematics that you used to Google this video. I'll explain how at the end of the video. In a simple graph, two vertices are called adjacent if they're joined by an edge. For example, vertex A and vertex B are adjacent to each other because they're joined by this edge. Let's identify all of the pairs of adjacent vertices. So we already said that vertices A and B are adjacent to each other. Let's go in alphabetical order so that we can be organized and make sure that we don't miss anything and we hit everything. So that's why I'll list A before B and B before C and so on. So from A, we can only go to B. That's the only vertex that A is adjacent to. From B, we can go to C, but from B, we can also go to D. B is adjacent to both C and D. Now let's go on to vertex C. Vertex C is only adjacent to B and D. We already have BC, so we're going to list CD. Now let's move on to vertex D. Vertex D is adjacent to B, C, and G. We're only going to list G because we've already listed B, D, and CD. So we're going to list D, G. Vertex E is only adjacent to vertex G. Now we're going to move on to F. F isn't adjacent to any other vertex. And finally we have G, but G is adjacent to E and D, and we have both of those scenarios already listed. So these are all the pairs of adjacent vertices. Now, just to make sure we're clear, can you give an example of a pair of vertices that are non-adjacent, that are not joined by a single edge? You can always pause the video if you want to think about it for a moment. An example would be vertex C and vertex G. To get from vertex C to vertex G, we would actually have to travel along two edges. There's no way to get between C and G with just one edge. Another example would be vertices F and E. Actually, F isn't adjacent to any of the other vertices in the graph because F has no edges connecting to it. So the reason this relates to Google is that when Sergey Brin and Lawrence Page set up Google, their search engine, they identified web pages as vertices and the hyperlinks on those pages as edges because the hyperlinks connect one website to the next. The number of edges then influences the ranking of a website on the Google search engine. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. That helps other students to find the video. You can also subscribe to my channel, Miss Hearn Mathematics, for more math videos, and watch the next video in this series, which is going to be about the degrees of vertices.